Welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us. Now, let's give you the focus now on today, which it asks the question, is our criminal justice system failing us? Many countries have been able to make some crime-ridden cities safer zones. If it's possible, why aren't we able to get it right here? What further measures can be put in place to turn around the failing justice system? To unpack this more, I am joined by Senior Research Specialist Stephen Gordon from the Human Science Research Council. Stephen, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. Is there any political will in South Africa to actually end crime?
This is a very, very important question. Now, I have been asked by my executive director, Professor Nania Baramulla, to speak to you about this essential question of reforming the criminal justice system. And to really understand the core issue, we need to understand what the data is telling us. Now, at the Human Science Research Council, we run a large public opinion survey called the South African Social Attitude Survey. Now, every year we collect data from a large nationally representative sample of adult South Africans. What we've seen occur over the last 10 years is a substantial decline in public trust in SAPS, the South African Police Service. Indeed, in 2022, only 23% of the adult population of South Africa trusted SAPS, the lowest level since we started recording data of this kind in 1998. This speaks to the severe trust deficit that we have in South Africa regarding the police services. But moreover, there's also been a significant decline in public trust in the courts. Only 31% of the adult population said that they trusted the South African court system in 2022. The lowest levels of public trust in our law and justice system are in the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, and Gauteng, the largest provinces in the country. Now, why do we see this decline in public trust in our criminal justice system? There are two main reasons. Perceived effectiveness of the system, it keeping us safe from crime. Consider that 52% of the adult population felt that their neighborhood had become less safe, more crime-ridden since 2021, a significant increase. I'm sure you will agree. 47% of the adult population said that they feared becoming a victim of violent crime at least sometimes. This shows you the extent that we as South Africans face in terms of safety. We feel very unsafe. The second issue is also essential, is that of distributive fairness. We feel that the criminal justice system isn't always fair to the people who engage with it, ordinary citizens engaging with police, engaging with the court system. So if we want to turn this ship around, it's these two areas fundamentally that we need to look at. We need to improve the perceived safety of our streets, the perceived safety of our neighborhoods, and we need to improve the fairness in which our criminal justice system treats ordinary people. Unless those two things are resolved, we will not see an improvement in issues of crime, justice, and safety in South Africa.
Yeah, and speaking about the deficit of trust between society and police, I mean, you might remember that for the first time, I think, after a few years, this year when the crime stats were released for December, or rather October to December last year, the police minister adding the category of people who died because of vigilantism. And those statistics are showing an increase. So it shows you that people don't trust the criminal justice system to a point where they decide to take the law into their own hands.
You know, it's very, very sad. We address this issue in our public survey. We ask people about various types of vigilante action. We find high levels of support for vigilantism. What's interesting about this high level of support is it's not just located amongst one group of people. This is not something that is favored only by the poor. We find high levels of support for vigilantism amongst wealthy people, in both rural and urban areas, amongst young and old, black and whites. Unfortunately, when people feel they can't depend on the police, on the law and justice system for safety, for fair and equitable treatment, they take the law into their own hands. And this is very, very bad. While superhero movies may portray vigilantism as a positive light, in truth, it is often very brutal, very discriminatory, and creates social instability. We need to move away from that. Importantly, one of the issues that Professor Nania Baramola has put forward in a recent publication she did was around the importance of modernization of our current justice system. Modernizing in particular our court system, our police system, to allow the better usage of data to inform policy and to target and eradicate unfairness and improve effectiveness.
And then you hear about ministers, for instance, the former Minister of Finance who went to Rwanda. He went to Kigali. He was on Twitter busy praising how much the president there has actually improved Rwanda, talking about the cleanliness and the crime rates that have gone down, etc., but doesn't come back to make sure that his colleagues implemented this side. So what is it that we can learn from countries such as Rwanda, and what is it that is making our politicians go there, sing praises about that country, but fail to implement the issues here?
What's very important to realize is that just because a country is poor or lacks resources doesn't mean it can't effectively and judiciously reduce crime and promote safety. So while South Africa struggles with resource constraints, and particularly the issue has become worse in the last few years, poverty and lack of resources in of themselves do not create crime. So what we need to do fundamentally, and obviously DOJ, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development has put forward this quite strongly, is the need to reform our current systems, make institutions, organizations more effective, and indeed implement the strategies and plans that they have clearly outlined over the last few years. This is not an area which has been ignored by government. A lot of plans and strategies have been put forward. The key is about effective implementation, fair, equitable implementation without corruption, without malmanagement, implementation that delivers for all South Africans.
All right, Mr. Gordon, thank you very much. I'll have to leave it there for now. It would have been interesting to get his thoughts on the fact that, you bring up the judiciary and then you hear about the staff shortages in that particular chain of the criminal justice system, and how much judges even are under immense pressure because of how many court cases they have to preside over. Well, that was Senior Research Specialist Stephen Gordon from the Human Science Research Council.